Caroline Bradley stood before the floor-to-ceiling window, the geometric sprawl of Manhattan stretching out 38 stories below. On her desk, files were ordered with chromatic precision, a testament to the meticulous mind that had made her Wells Fargo's youngest senior wealth manager. The skyline was her familiar canvas of ambition and order. A knock. Her secretary, Jennifer, entered. The Hopkins file. For 2 o'clock. Thank you, Jennifer, Caroline said, turning. Her smile was warm, her voice soft, a studied contrast to the steel trap reasoning her clients relied on. Professional success was a suit she wore effortlessly. It was within the tangled weave of family where she constantly snagged. Her phone vibrated. Amanda. A familiar, weary tension settled in her shoulders. Caro, thank God you picked up. Her sister's voice was sunshine and helium. The final payment for the shower venue is due today. My card's maxed. Can you cover it? Just $3,000. I'll pay you back next month. Swear. Caroline closed her eyes. Amanda, the beloved local weather forecaster, lived her life in a perpetual, charming deficit. Amanda, we said the last time was the last time. Please? For your niece? I want everything to be perfect. The pout was audible. A sigh, soft as deflation. All right, but we need to talk. This weekend. I love you. I'll tell Mom, she'll be so happy. The call ended. Mom, Judith, whose affection had always been a directed beam, shining brightest on her youngest. Amanda was the jewel. Caroline, the setting, expected to hold everything together, silently, because she was the responsible one. Their father, Thomas, a retired teacher, observed the dynamic from a safe, silent distance, his gentle pacifism a form of tacit endorsement. Caroline opened her banking app. The family sub-account told its own story, a ledger of celebrations, birthdays, anniversaries, Amanda's wedding, each withdrawal a silent transaction where money stood in for love, and duty was the only currency she was allowed to spend. A week later, Caroline entered the Windsor Hotel's Magnolia Hall. The air hummed with expensive perfume and expectation. The transformation was staggering, a fantasia of floating peonies and crystal, a tribute to excess. She moved through the crowd in her pale blue sheath dress, a small, elegant gift in hand. The greeting was the first chill. A harried coordinator glanced up from her list, gave Caroline a dismissive once-over, and handed her a place card without a word. Then, she found her seat. Table A1, isolated in a corner, directly facing the restroom door, a single chair, a tiny, mocking air freshener, and a tent card that read, in delicate script, beware of strong odor, a joke, a public, premeditated joke. Her body went very still. Caroline, you found it. Her mother, Judith, appeared, pressing a cool, perfumed cheek to hers. We thought of you. You're always slipping away to the ladies, aren't you? Now you won't miss a thing. Amanda waddled over, radiant in silk. Do you like it? We wanted to give you a special spot. Her eyes sparkled with cruel delight. A ripple of snickers traveled through the nearby tables. The audience was in on it. Caroline's work smile, a flawless, neutral mask, settled on her face. It's certainly unique. She took her seat, the chair scraping loudly in the sudden quiet. The festivities unfolded around her exclusion. Champagne flowed at every table but hers. Laughter swelled as she received her lukewarm filet mignon, the last served. She ate methodically, a calm island in a sea of pointed merriment. The bill arrived with dessert, presented on a silver tray, $22,000. Amanda and Judith descended, a united front. Caro, you'll handle this, won't you? Amanda cooed, a hand on her belly. For the baby, you always say family comes first. Of course, Caroline said, her voice serene. She placed the invoice in her bag. I'll take care of everything. Their relief was palpable, tinged with triumph. But as Caroline raised a finally proffered glass of champagne, her eyes held a new, glacial clarity. Judith's smile faltered, just for a second. I need some air, Caroline announced. In the hushed hallway, twilight bleeding over the city, she opened a secured app on her phone, a digital dossier years in the making, transaction records, transcribed conversations, a psychological map of a family's economy of exploitation. She typed a quick message, green light, confirm readiness. The reply was instant. All documents prepared. Standing by. She took a deep, steadying breath. The humiliation had been the final, required spark. Back inside, the gift opening crescendo was underway. Amanda performed from a throne of wrapping paper, oohing over luxury monitors and designer layettes. "And this is from Caroline," Judith announced, delivering the small, elegantly wrapped box with a theatrical flourish. "It seems rather light, dear." Amanda tore it open. Her face fell. Inside was a simple, folded piece of high-quality stationery. She held it up, bewildered. "A note? Is this a joke, Caro?" Titters spread. All eyes swung to the corner. Caroline remained seated, her posture regal. "The real gift comes later," she said, her voice cutting through the murmur. "This is your moment, Amanda. Don't let me interrupt." Flustered, Amanda returned to the mountain of gifts. The spotlight moved on, but a crack had appeared in the festive facade. As coffee was served and the party's energy began to wane, Caroline stood. She did not ring a glass, but her presence commanded a sudden, curious silence. "Amanda, Mom, Dad," she began, her tone conversational, yet every syllable carried. "You asked for my gift. It's not in a box." She opened her clutch and removed a single, sleek legal-sized envelope. "This is a document, filed today with my lawyers. It outlines, with full financial and communicative evidence, a pattern of exploitation spanning 11 years. It formally severs my financial ties to you, effective immediately. All future requests for funds will be considered, in writing, as formal loans with a standard interest rate, to be reviewed by my legal team." The room was utterly still. Judith sputtered. "Caroline, how dare you ruin this day? After all you have taken." Caroline finished, coolly. "The gift is clarity. The days of, because you're the big sister, are over. The seat by the bathroom, the cold dinner, the $22,000 bill, consider them my final, non-tax deductible contributions." She turned to Amanda, whose face was white with shock. "I will love my niece, but I will not bankroll her mother's performance. That show is cancelled." Finally, she looked at her father. Thomas would not meet her gaze. Staring into his lap, her voice softened. "Just for him, you taught me that silence in the face of wrongdoing is consent. I am no longer consenting." She placed the envelope on the gift table, now a landscape of torn paper and empty boxes. "The legal paperwork will be served tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your party." Without another word, Caroline Bradley turned and walked out of Magnolia Hall. The click of her heels on the marble floor was the only sound in the vast, stunned silence she left behind. She did not look back. The windowed hallway awaited, and beyond it, the glittering, impartial city, a skyline she could finally look upon as her own. The final notes of laughter faded into the clatter of coffee cups. Caroline watched from her solitary corner, the hum of the party a distant buzz. Then, with deliberate calm, she stood. The gentle ting of her spoon against crystal cut through the chatter like a scalpel. "If I might have a moment of your time," her voice, soft yet carrying, stilled the room. All eyes turned, some curious, some apprehensive. Amanda's bright smile faltered. Judith's hand froze mid-gesture. "Today celebrates a new life," Caroline began, moving to the center of the floor. "A lone figure in pale blue. And new life deserves honesty. So, allow me to offer my gift, the truth about our family." She opened the sleek black portfolio from her bag. The rustle of paper was the only sound. "For years, I've believed supporting family was my privilege, my duty." She looked at her father, Thomas, who shrank in his seat. "But support should not be silent, and duty should not be theft." "Caroline, don't you dare," Judith hissed, half rising. "I dare, Mother, because someone finally should." Caroline held up a statement. $120,000. "That's what I've contributed to family celebrations over 5 years. But that's the authorized amount." She produced another sheet. "This is a $5,000 charge from Barney's, dated while I was in Boston. Your taste in handbags is expensive, Amanda." Amanda's face went ashen. "It was a mistake." "A pattern of mistakes," Caroline corrected, her tone forensic. She laid out more documents like a prosecutor entering evidence. "A $7,200 spa week in Florida, charged to my card. Mom, I hope the seaweed wrap was worth the felony. Most critically, she paused, letting the silence deepen. A $50,000 line of credit opened at Maplewood Bank in my name. The application bears a forged signature. The mailing address is your apartment. Amanda. A collective gasp rippled through the room. Thomas stood up, his chair scraping loudly. Judith? Amanda? Is this true? It's family helping family, Judith cried, but her voice was thin, stripped of its usual command. Help is asked for, not stolen, Caroline said, ice in her veins. She turned to her sister, whose pregnant form seemed to tremble. My real gift to you, Amanda, is a choice. She placed a final envelope on the gift table. That contains a full dossier of the fraud, totaling $87,000. I have not yet filed it with the police. Amanda began to weep. We were desperate. Rick's business. You were entitled, Caroline interrupted, a flicker of pain finally breaking through her calm. You always have been. And you, she said to Judith, you cultivated it. You made me the pillar so you could treat me like the floor. Beware of strong odor. She gestured to her lonely seat. That was your masterpiece, the final, petty cruelty that made everything clear. The room was mortified. Guests looked anywhere but at the crumbling family tableau. Here are your options, Caroline stated, her business acumen crystallizing the emotional wreckage. Sign the legally binding repayment plan inside 5 years, 0 interest, and immediately close all fraudulent accounts. Or, I leave here and go directly to the authorities. You have until noon tomorrow. You'd send your pregnant sister to jail? Judith whispered, aghast. Caroline's gaze was unwavering. I am giving my sister a chance to avoid jail. That is more mercy than your exploitation ever offered me. She looked at her father, his face a mask of stunned regret. You taught me right from wrong, Dad. You just never applied it at home. Thomas bowed his head, shattered. With nothing left to say, Caroline walked back to her isolated table. She did not sit. Instead, she picked up her champagne flute, the one they'd finally given her, and drained it. The sweet bubbles tasted of closure. She left the envelope on the table, a silent bomb amid the ribbons and ruins. Then, without a backward glance at the frozen spectacle of her family's disgrace, Caroline Bradley walked out of Magnolia Hall. Her heels echoed on the marble, each step a firm, final period on the chapter of her silent suffering. 1 year later, winter light streamed through the pristine windows of Bradley Financial Strategies, glinting off the discreet anniversary plaque. Caroline's view was no longer of an impersonal high-rise canyon, but of the snow-dusted expanse of Central Park, a prize of her hard-won independence. A knock. Her father, Thomas, entered, a file in his hand. His hair was whiter, but his shoulders were straighter. The Blackwell portfolio analysis is ready for your review. Thank you, Dad. She took the file, her smile genuine. His role as her research assistant was part penance, part renewal. His divorce from Judith had been quiet but final. Dinner at 7? He asked. Amanda's bringing Lily. I'll be there. Amanda's daughter, Lily, had become a bridge of fragile hope. Caroline had established an ironclad educational trust for her niece, a gift that could not be looted. Amanda, now living in a modest apartment, was slowly, soberly studying accounting at night school. The repayment plan was being honored, one austere month at a time. Caroline's phone buzzed. Judith, she answered, her voice coolly pleasant. Hello, Mother. Caroline, about the installment this month, things are tight. Could we possibly? The schedule is non-negotiable. Mom. Caroline's tone was calm, the boundary absolute. We agreed. Stick to the plan. After hanging up, she opened her desk drawer and took out a photograph. It was taken the day Lily was born. In it, she held her niece, with Amanda leaning tiredly but sincerely on her shoulder, and Thomas standing behind them, his hands on both his daughters. It was not a picture of a perfect family. It was a picture of a family trying, on new and truthful terms. Outside, the first true snow of the season began to fall, blanketing the park in quiet white. Caroline watched it, thinking of the cold clarity of that day in Magnolia Hall, and the long thaw that had followed. She had not become ruthless. She had become resolved. She had not destroyed her family. She had, for the first time, demanded it be built on something real. I won't become like you, She had told Amanda during a difficult conversation, and you don't have to stay as you were. The snow fell, erasing old tracks, promising a clean start. Caroline turned from the window, ready for the next meeting, the next challenge, the cautiously hopeful family dinner that awaited. Her own woman, at last.